How have your weeks been? Diane, how are you feeling? Better. Okay. I'm reading your lips, but I'm assuming that's what you said. Cindy, how was camping?
It was good. Everything still feels dry. We were on the lake, and so there's so much wind, my lips are dry. Yeah.
Yikes. And it was, I don't know about where you were, but like on our half of the Metroplex, it was very windy this weekend. Crazy.
Hey, I'm here, but I'm trying to fix dinner.
Okay.
So I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, how you guys were out there Friday night and Saturday night?
Yeah. Yeah, the 2 nights.
All right.
Stayed on plan.
Nice.
Got lots of ease in.
Good. That's awesome. I'm just warning y'all, my mom is coming in at some point and my dog's gonna lose her mind. So when you hear that happening, just know that's what's going down. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Diane, is it cold where you are? Jealous. It was like cooler here today in the 80s. You gonna say hi? Okay. Annie's coming to say hi. We've just had, well, they had off-plan pizza, but I had on-plan pizza for dinner. Was it good? Mm-hmm. And we got some peppers from our co-op thing, and they were labeled sweet, but actually they were very spicy. So we accidentally ate some hot peppers, didn't we? Was it pleasant or unpleasant? Are you a mute? Okay, go with your dessert. Yeah, we like mild spicy. Not these are like, my mouth is still burning. Anyway, okay. We have several people who are out this evening, so I don't know. The only person I think I haven't heard from is I haven't heard from Kelly, and I have not heard from Becky. So maybe they will be hopping on here in a minute. We are going to talk about pulled back ease tonight, which we have talked a little bit about in the beginners group that you two ladies did. And some of the other people who have been watching this or who will be watching this later. So we're gonna go over those and also talk about when you as non-diabetics might implement a pulled back E. For me, pulled back E's are just where I live all the time. It would be interesting if Kelly jumps on here to see if she implements those or not. Because some diabetics need to and some diabetics don't. I need to. I save my big carby splurges for like Christmas and Thanksgiving, and then I pay for those later. So I try not to do that if I can help it. So definition of a pulled back E is a normal E is 45 grams of net carbs, as you know, 5 grams of added fat, and low-fat protein source with non-starchy veggies. That makes up a lovely E meal. A pulled back E is just you have taken the carbs and pulled those back a little bit. So you're looking at more like 20 to 30 grams of net carbs rather than that full 45. The kind of the purpose that this can play for non-diabetic, well, for diabetics and for non-diabetics, it's just, you're just not having so many carbs and it's not overwhelming your system. I would say 45 is the top. Obviously it's the top limit, but if you can even do like micro, that does not actually exist, a micro pulled back E, but just, having it somewhere between 30 and 40 is probably going to be better blood sugar wise, especially as we age. Every human becomes more insulin resistant. And so if we can just scale a tiny bit back on the E's, then that can help just with how much carb that your body is getting and how it's affecting your blood sugars. So I think when people who are not diabetic hear about pulled back E's, you might think to yourself, oh my gosh, that's like half my meal. Like what am I eating? And I can honestly tell you that after my E's, I am just as full as I am after my S's. So it's because I've really carefully constructed my E's to have a lot of food. You guys know I'm a volume eater. And so I am sad. Like I am actually sad if I look at my plate and I see like space on it. I want my whole plate covered with food. And the way that I make that happen while incorporating pulled back E's, hey Kelly, is to just put in, say it with me everyone, non-starchy veggies. So these are the things that are going to round out your plate. They will also fill you up at the end of the meal. And I'm laughing because Jamie and I met earlier today for our one-to-one, and I just was like, I feel like a broken record. I am a broken record for non-starchy vegetables. But it's because there you go. That looks gorgeous. They really do fill you up, and they just satisfy. For those of us who are volume eaters, Kelly, I know you are not one, but the rest of us may be a little bit more. They will help you to be full at the end of the meal. If I finish a meal and I don't feel just like very satisfied, I'm sad and I go hunting for more food. So in order to not do that, I really pack out my plate for my E meals with tons of non-starchy veggies. So the way that you're going to build your plate is much like a regular E. You will have your low-fat source of protein. You will have your whole huge amount of non-starchy veggies. You want to make sure that 5 grams of fat is in there. And we'll talk about that in a second, why that's important. And then you're going to also have your low fat source of protein. So if you're thinking about your plate in your head, you're going to kind of want 50% of your plate, or maybe even 2/3 of your plate, non-starchy veggies. You'll want to have your carb source, whatever that is, taking up. If you've used half your plate, you want your carb source taking up about 1/4 of your plate, and then your protein source taking up the other 1/4. And yeah, you'll be full and happy by the end of your meal. So let me give you some examples of some pulled back E's, and then we'll talk about when it would be good to have these. So if you are building your own E meal, like not using one out of one of the cookbooks or a blogger, then that could look like 1 medium sweet potato. That would be your carb source. That's about 25 grams of net carbs in that. You could make some Hubby Lovin' chicken strips with either breast meat, or you could use chicken tenders. Those are made from breast meat, and they are appropriate for an E meal. You can dip those in egg whites to have your Hubby Lovin' seasoning stick onto those. Your Hubby Lovin' seasoning has Parmesan cheese in it. That would be your 5 grams of fat from that. And then you can do canned green beans or fresh green beans, some kind of non-starchy veggie, but this is a meal that we have for, like, not super regularly, but if we're going to have Hubby Lovin' chicken, this is how I make it, and this is what we eat with it. And then sometimes if I'm feeling very fancy, I will dice up an onion really finely to add into my green beans, just to fancy it up a little bit. That mimics a meal that I had growing up. Like that I just described as like big time comfort food for any any Watson child just is like, oh, that's growing up. So that's a good dinner option. Any of the oatmeal recipes in any of the cookbooks will work as a pulled back E if you don't add any more carbs to them. So sweatpants oatmeal works, PPP works. There's one in Trim Healthy Table called, I think it's called like Big Bowl Cinnamon Oats or something like that. Like that, all of those have about half a cup of dry oatmeal in them. And that gets you at 23 grams of net carbs. So any of the oatmeal recipes work. If you want to, and you need to feel a little bit more full after the PPP oatmeal, you can put in more psyllium husks. That doesn't do anything except for just add more fiber to it. And then back in the days when I did eat oatmeal, used to do what Cindy does now and put in shredded zucchini into her oats. She can vouch for me that like you absolutely cannot taste it, and it kind of has an oatmeal-y texture, oddly. So yeah, it helps you get your non-starchy veggies into your breakfast. And I just like for things to be kind of a one-stop shop. So I don't like to have to eat my veggies separately if I'm having a cooked breakfast. So that's usually what I used to do when I ate oats. An very easy snack is one piece of fruit with half a cup of low-fat cottage cheese, or a container of 2 Good yogurt or 000 yogurt. Those all work. That one piece of fruit, those are, depending on the size of your fruit. I mean, if you get an apple as big as your head, that's like more than 45 grams of net carbs. But if you just get a regular, normal, medium-sized apple, a medium-sized pear, a peach, a nectarine, 1 cup of cantaloupe or watermelon or grapes, pick your fruit. You can have 1 piece or 1 cup. That is roughly 25 grams of net carbs. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. And then obviously you're going to pair that with Bebop. So always got to get those in. Another option would be 3 to 4 sourdough wassa crackers or the light rye. Both of those are on plan. And the light rye, I looked up, I don't have any of those in our house at the moment, but the light rye, I think, have 11 carbs for 2. And the sourdough had 7, I think it was 7 for 1. So you could have up to 4 if you wanted that. You can kind of treat those like an open-faced sandwich. So you could put some light Laughing Cow cheese on there. You could load that up with spinach and deli turkey or deli ham. Diane, I was thinking of you and your love of the pizza grilled cheese with your big things of spinach. And I was like, oh yeah, you could do that. Same thing here. Or you could do 2 what was I thinking? Yeah, you could do 2 either of the sourdough or 2 of the rye with Canada's peanut butter and half of a banana sliced on top. That Jamie found that. She didn't think it sounded good, but I thought it sounded delicious. So those are kind of like make it yourself recipes. If you wanted to do a sandwich with sprouted bread, that you would just have to look at your bread, because those vary wildly depending on the size of the bread. So I've got some Knock Your Sprouts Off. I think those have 13 grams of carbs for 1 piece of bread. So you can easily have a 2-piece of bread sandwich, and then you would need to have just veggies, like don't add any other fruit or anything in. And then any of the Trim Healthy Mama recipes, the way that you would make those fit into for e-meals, obviously, the way you would make those fit into a pulled back E is by having a 3/4 of a serving. So if it says the serving size is 8, then you would just scale that back a little bit. Like if you're cutting up a casserole into 8 pieces, and then just, move your portion back a tiny little bit. So one thing to remember is that you will need to make sure that you have got enough protein in these meals. So if you finish your meal and you are still hungry, make yourself a little tiny whey protein almond milk with like half a scoop of protein in it. That just gives you about 10 extra grams of protein, and it should kind of top you up. Or if you if finishing a meal is something that you're into, I don't know if you guys have heard anybody or seen anybody talking about that in the groups. I know Katie McReynolds, if anybody knows who that is, she finishes meals a lot, and she does that by having a hot drink at the end of the meal. It just signifies to her body, like, this is shut now, we will eat again in 3 hours. And it's like it's wrapped it up for her. She has like, I found out about so many good flavors of tea, like just from watching her Instagram. So Celestial Seasonings has tons of delicious, like, sweet teas that are not sweetened, actual fact, but they taste sweet. And so you can have them. It's basically the same as drinking water. So it just signifies to your body, like, body, all right, this shop is shut now. We will open again in 3 hours and have some more food. But it's a good way to just kind of tell yourself, like, okay, we're finished. So the easiest rule of thumb for how to keep your carb limit to that pulled back E amount is by just picking one carb source. So let that be one piece of fruit instead of a piece of fruit and a sandwich, or let that be your sandwich instead of a piece of, your sandwich and a piece of fruit. Or don't have, if you had like rice and beans together, you would want to just pull back on your portions of those a tiny bit. So it's really better on pulled back E's if you can keep those carb sources just to a single source. That has been my easiest way of implementing these. So you may see in my foods that I eat, my emails often, like today I had an e-lunch, I had some puffed rice cereal. That was my carb source. I didn't add anything else to that. So I had that with some whey protein almond milk on top of it, and then a couple of carrots, and that was my lunch. So yeah, I find it simpler to keep it, and I'm just counting less, and I'm less about the numbers if I just keep it to a single carb source, and I know what my serving sizes of that looks like. With fruit, it's very easy because it's literally like, here, have your piece of fruit, or have your sweet potato. Pulled back E's are really easy to do with whole foods, whole carb source foods. And when would you use these? So like I said earlier, if you are insulin resistant in any way, whether that is due to age, whether that's due to being pre-diabetic, whether that is due to being diabetic, type 1 or 2, you will want to just have this handy and, in your toolbox to use. It also, if you are experiencing a stall, which I don't think anybody in here is at the moment, but just in the future, if you come upon a time where you are stalled, pulled back E's are a great little tweak. You don't have to do them all the time, but to do them some of the time, it's another, like, it's another type of E, the way that we have all the different S's. It just kind of varies your calorie load. It keeps your metabolism guessing a bit. And so you may never come to a point in your THM journey where you need a pulled back E, but you might. And if you come to that spot, then you now have got the information to do it. So I think for this week, I'd like you guys to just try a couple of pulled back E's to see what they're like. They're not, again, they're not mandatory or necessary, but it is good to just have a little practice while there is some support around, and people ask questions too, and kind of get some practice in doing it. So that's pulled back E's. Anybody have any questions?
I do. That doesn't count for like a banana, right? A whole banana, that's like a whole apple?
Yeah, that's
whole,
correct. So you could
still mean
have
small.
Yeah, you could have like a small banana. And by small, I mean like that.
Yeah.
So that would be okay. When I said that example that I gave of the Wassa cracker with a half of a banana on it, that obviously that's 2 carb sources, but bananas are just really sugary, and they like, I use them to bring my blood sugar up sometimes. It's not that there's not good stuff in them. There is good stuff in them, but it is, just they're very sugary. So you would never want to have a whole, like a large banana. That would be
right.
That would get you over 45.
So any of the oatmeal that I do a PPP'd one, but somebody had a recipe to make it in the Instant Pot.
Oh,
so okay. I make 8 servings of oatmeal at once.
Sure.
And then divvy it into portions. I split between me and my husband.
Okay.
But we put those over. Now, I know if I put it over a peach, that's a double carb source.
Yes.
And that's not pulled back. But as long as I have it over like blueberries or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It still is.
Yes. And that's a good point, actually. Berries, remember that in THM, berries are like in their own category. So anytime I say fruit, I am never talking about berries, because in my mind, berries, like you eat a cup of berries, that's fuel pull. Yeah, it counts as carbs, but there's so much fiber in berries. Like if you look at raspberries, they're like basically not a carb source because they're so fibrous, and it just like cancels it out. So anytime I'm talking about fruit, I don't mean berries, unless you want to have like 2 cups of strawberries or a cup of blueberries, then that would pop that up into an E fuel source. But yeah, if I'm saying fruit, I'm talking about pears, apples, cantaloupe, peaches, nectarines, bananas, papaya, like those, anything other than a berry, watermelon, all of those. So that's a good clarification. Thank you for that. But yeah, you could, for PPP, you can definitely put blueberries or strawberries, raspberries, whatever berries you would like underneath.
And I've read that it's good that the E's are good for adrenal and thyroid soothing. So if you have a pulled back, is there any difference between pulled back and regular? Like, would you need to have them more often if you're working on those symptoms?
No, I don't think so. I do tend to eat. I have not the last couple of days, and it's reflected in my blood sugar that I have not had enough E's in the last couple of days. And usually I aim to have 2 E's in a day. And so like just as part of my regular pattern of eating. And there, one of them is usually about 25 and the other is about 30 grams of net carbs. So I'm having more than, it's not like my 2 little E's are making the amount of 1 big E. I'm having kind of 1.5 E's, I guess. But no, there's not been in the diabetic group for sure. Like there hasn't been no talk of that, because you're still getting the bulk of the carbs. If you had you'll want to be an E and to not be in weird no man's land area, you need to have a minimum of 20 grams of carbs. So, yeah, if you have less than that, you're kind of not in S territory, not in E territory for sure, and you're kind of a bit more than fuel pool. So it's just a weird, like, it's like, I always think of it as like manna from the Bible. Like you're just walking around being like, well, what is it? It's nothing. So yeah, that's a good question. But yeah, I think if you're having a 25 to 30 gram kind of E, then that is still giving you the health benefits of the carbs.
Okay. And then you mentioned insulin resistance. Is there a way to test for that, or is it just more of a symptom thing?
That's a good question. I know that a lot, I see this a lot in the diabetic group. New people will come in and they'll say, oh, I've just been diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And so, they'll say like, here are my blood work numbers. And doctors are always measuring their insulin. And I am like, that's weird to me. That's never happened, but I guess it's because I don't make any insulin. So that I am not familiar with why they check that. You can know that you're experiencing insulin resistance if your fasting blood sugar number is high. Like if Erin was on here, Erin checks her blood sugar because she has diabetes in her family. And so she's kind of on the lookout for it. And so she checks her fasting number most days. And if it's over 100, that indicates that there's some level of insulin resistance. So you can get a cheap glucometer from Walmart. They're about $25 and the test strips are not expensive. And you can just check your own blood sugar if you were so inclined.
Well, I had fasting blood work done, but it was 98.
Okay.
So it's not high, but 2 more points and high.
And it's exactly. Well, and it's I'm coaching one of the pastors at my church, and he's Lebanese. It's a hilarious experience, but he is trying to get under the certain body mass index, and he needs to do it so that his insurance goes down. He is like 0.1 over what the rate is, and I'm just like, for real? This is ridiculous. So 2 points to that. I tell you that to say that like 2 points, it doesn't matter. Like you're within the margin of error on that. So I would say that you probably have a little bit of insulin resistance, but I mean, how old are you? Are you 50?
50.
Yeah. So like, it's just the time of life. It's like another happy thing that happens as you get older, that just starts to creep up. So you're doing all the things that you can, and you are like, if you incorporate some pulled duckies, that could help. Not necessarily will it, but it could. So yeah.
Okie doke.
Kelly, do you do any pulled back E's, or do you do full E's?
You know what? I don't know. I don't eat a lot of carbs, so I must do pullback E's. Yeah. Because it just spikes my blood sugar too much.
Yes, exactly. And I find I do great with mostly 25 grams. Like that's about where I camp out.
Yeah, I'm about there too. Yeah. Very rarely do I eat up to 45 or 60.
Yeah. It would, me either. And what was I going to say? Nope, it's gone. Don't know what it was.
I did have another question. I saw, I think I saw Canada do it one week, and she had made a list of all the e-fuels, and she was trying to rotate like between them. So she didn't just camp out on the, like I'm assuming there's benefit to that with the variety
Mhm.
types of, because if I just eat an apple every day, I'm not getting anything that other things have for me.
Right. Yes. And I think that that's true. So, and I think it's okay too, to kind of do things in season. Like if summer fruit is so good. So like this summer, I ate a ton of peaches. Like I had a peach every day
So
for
good.
months and I loved it. Like it was great. Well, okay, so now that season's over, I'm not eating peaches anymore. But like that was one of my carb meals every day was I had a peach and some yogurt. And so that and some veggies, obviously. But like that was that's just where I camped out. But now that that's over and now that we're kind of like moving into cooler weather, like I'll be having tons of beans and lentils. And that's just what I like to eat in the winter. And so, or like same with sweet potatoes. So I think it's okay to do things seasonally as well. But yeah, I mean, it's true. Like if you are getting a variety of carb sources, then you are exposing your bodies to different nutrients, to different vitamins, to different minerals, to different kinds of carbs. So a grain carb may affect your body very, very differently than a sweet potato carb, which may, your body may do great with those, but may just totally like fruit might like throw you into a tailspin. It's you just kind of have to test around and see. And actually, having a monitor it's great biofeedback for you. Like I get stopped all the time from people see this thing on my arm and they're like, oh, I've been what? Like they're like these big, like hulking weightlifter men. How are you talking to me? But they're like, I've been wanting to get one of those. Like I want to biohack my diet. And I'm like the first time I heard that, I was like, what does that mean? I don't know what you're talking about. And they were like, you can see what food does to your blood sugar. And I was like, oh yeah, I did. I actually do that. Didn't know that was called biohacking, but all right. So yeah, like people do it. Weightlifters do it. Like serious weightlifters do it because they want that spike because that helps them to put on weight. And so like they're looking for foods that spike them. We are looking for foods that don't spike us. And so E's are an interesting animal because whether they're a full E or a pulled back E, the time of day that you eat an E matters. To some people, to other people, you can have an E whenever you want. I can't have carbs in the morning, so I always have my carbs at my morning snack or my lunch or my afternoon snack or my dinner. It doesn't matter any of the rest of the day, but I know that I can't do carbs at breakfast. So you could find out that information of when you do best with carbs by getting a little cheap glucometer. They're in the pharmacy section at Walmart or Target. So yeah, you just have to prick your finger, which you may or may not be into. Anymore.
When you say fasting, blood sugar, is that like in the morning?
Yeah, that's just before you've eaten, before you have broken your fast from the night. And if you are going to check your fasting numbers, you should do it like pretty much as soon as you get out of bed. I find that Kelly, I don't know what happens with you, but like if I get up and start moving around, like my blood sugar just starts going up. It's not like up, but it's just, it'll be 10 or 20 points higher than it was when I was in bed, just as part of the waking up process. So.
There you go. So like for my blood test, I got dressed, drove to the place. So that may not even be accurate.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Yeah. And like the last time I got my blood work done, I had been up since 5 o'clock in the morning and my blood sugar, I think it was like 183 or something like that. I mean, it is like never that high, but it's because I hadn't had breakfast yet. So, which is, I can't fast. Like I'm not a faster. I don't fast for faith. Like just my blood sugar gets messed up if I ever do that. So I'll fast from other things, but not from food. And yeah, it's because I gotta get up and get eaten. Catch
It can also be so different from one morning to the next that you would have to do multiple times. You couldn't base it on just the one.
Yeah.
98.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that would catch it from your doctor. Like they might be like, well, it's pretty close. I'm like, I feel like I hear that a lot too, of like, you're not quite pre-diabetic, but you could be. And to that, I'm just like, oh, please. No, because like you say, Kelly, that's one day you would need to have more data to.
Yeah. And I'm doing all the things I would be doing anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Good. All right. Anybody have any more questions? No. Diane, you look like you were ready for bed.
I don't have glasses or contacts in, so I'm having to squint to see you guys.
Oh.
I thought a second ago, it looks like I'm falling asleep, and
That's hilarious.
to see everybody. I'm on my phone instead of my tablet, so you guys.
Oh, yeah. Just teeny tiny little.
Yay! I'm happy to see who that is.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you're not trying. Good. All right. Well, okay. I don't think I told you guys this, but I'm having cataract surgery in the morning. I have, from being diabetic and pregnant, my body did not handle that super well. And like, I cannot even tell you how excited I am to have this surgery. Like, I have had massive major eye trauma in my life for the last 4.5 years. And so tomorrow will be the first step to getting back to pre-pregnancy eyeballs for me. And
one eye or both?
I'm having both done, but just one tomorrow. So I'm having my left eye done tomorrow, and it will be for distance. And then right before Fondy's retreat, I'm having, like that week, I'm having this eye done for like reading. So I'll be very bionic at that point.
So is just cataract surgery, or you have lens put in? Or are you doing LASIK?
Yeah, they're taking out my cruddy clouded lens and putting in a clean. He was like, you'll have the vision of like a child.
So you're getting a new lens.
I'm getting a new lens. Yeah. So I had, after I was pregnant, I don't know, Annie was probably 18 months old. I had a vitrectomy in each eye. So they took out my vitreous humor. And because I was growing all these extra blood vessels that kept breaking. And so it was just, there was like blood in my vision all the time. You couldn't see it, but I could see out of it. It was like looking through a lacy red curtain. And so the fix for stopping that happening so much was to take out the vitreous humor, which was pulling on the extra blood vessels that were growing. And as a result of that, they said that I would start developing a cataract within 12 to 18 months. And I actually think that THM helped me to hold that off for like 2.5 years. So that was good. But yeah, my right eye is actually worse than my left eye, but my left eye is my dominant eye. So they always do it for distance first and then reading second. So my 2 surgeries will be 3 weeks apart, and then I will be back, baby. I was like, oh, I'm so ready for this. Because the only reason I have to wear these glasses is because I can't see anything on my computer screen. I can't see my phone, can't see to read. So apparently I will not need reading glasses ever, because like, even as I get older, he was like, most people who have cataract surgery are in their 50s or older. And so they've already like experienced this thing. And he was like, the reason that like you need your reading glasses is because of the cataracts, not because you can't see. Like the cataract is what is jacking things up. It's my uncle's doing my surgery. So anyway, I'm just very excited, but that'll be tomorrow. And apparently I won't look like I've been walloped, which is good.
No.
So yeah. Anyway, so that is what's happening.
We're very excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. If anybody wants to pray, the surgery's at 7. None of you will be awake. It'll be all right. You'll be awake. That's true.
I don't have a choice.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Good. All right. Well, on that happy note, I think we can wrap it up for tonight. Okay. Thanks, y'all. Be sure to check in. Tell me if what your motivating factors are going to be this week. How are you going to set some goals? And yeah, let's stick with it. We're almost like we're 3 weeks in, so we're getting comfortable. Good. All right. Well, I will see y'all in the group. All right. Bye.